Good evening, Tommy. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. This is a great weekend, a very, very busy weekend, which we'll get into momentarily. But first, you guys know the drill.
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six! That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
Good evening. We are in week 18, episode 31 of the Deep Six Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm joined by Tommy from Back Sports Page. Tommy, how you doing, man? How was your weekend?
It was great, man. Doing good. You know, we had a really busy weekend full of some absolutely amazing wrestling. I can't say enough about it, and we'll get more in depth here later. But yeah, what a great weekend for all of wrestling fans.
This was a very good weekend. NXT TakeOver. They could do no wrong. They always put on a great show. Summerslam met and exceeded my expectations for the most part. Decent Raw, which we'll get into later on. But how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. You know, a little busy here on the side, but had a lot to look forward to with wrestling, and got to wind down both nights with some really good wrestling, as we said. How was yours, man? How was yours?
Good. You know, it was a lot to take in, and it was a very busy weekend. Working 9 hours, doing a photo shoot for a wedding, which took a lot out of me. Excuse me. Took a lot out of me. We had I didn't start TakeOver until about 9 p.m. And from there, I didn't get to Dynamite until Monday because Sunday was just another busy day. We had a lot of things going on. Then SummerSlam it was. And yesterday, playing 9 holes of golf. And today I did another 18 holes, which I horrible 2 days, more specifically today. Yeah, great weekend. And it was a really good weekend for wrestling. And it doesn't just end here. I mean, we got Payback this weekend coming up, and All Out the week after.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bit. We got a couple more busy weekends before we start slowing down into the fall season.
Yeah.
Which I'm very much looking forward to.
Looking forward to, exactly, and needing.
Love fall. Yeah, that's where wrestling kind of takes a nosedive. So hopefully not this year. Anyway, we got some things to talk about. Yeah. We got quite a bit of things to talk about. Yeah. First, I want to talk about NXT. And NXT is TakeOver 30 was such a good show. I want to do something a little different. Typically, I like to start in the beginning of the show and go in order and everything. I want to talk about Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee.
A good choice. Good choice to start off.
Start there. I posted in another group Facebook page that I was going to start there. So we're going to start there tonight. What a great match that we saw. I had to watch this back a second time because even though it was good, and I knew it was good, Pat McAfee was looking a little green too as well. Just in his movements. I don't know what it was. I watched it back about a half hour before coming onto this show. And let me tell you, I was pretty impressed. And here's why the match came out so good. Because the match was set to a slower pace that was going to fit for McAfee's skill set.
For sure.
It wasn't your typical Adam Cole match where you see him going against Gargano or an Andrade versus Gargano, or those guys were very, very quick pace and everything's going spot after spot. It wasn't like that. It was a slow pace, and the reason why I feel it came off so great because it was tailored for him. He had the right dance partner, apparently.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there were a couple spots that he pulled off that kind of just like, wow, he could do that. Like the one where he jumped onto the top rope.
Yes.
After
after landing on his feet, after getting pushed off into a superplex.
Yeah. So what did you think of this match?
I will say I understand where people think that McAfee came off as looking a little green, and I think that was almost expected. He comes in and doesn't have any wrestling training, comes from the NFL, but being from Indiana and being a fan of Pat McAfee and the Pat McAfee show, I honestly don't know how you could ask for a better debut match than what he gave. I think he took all the moves the right way. The Panama Sunrise to end the match looked great. I think he hit all of his spots perfectly. He had the mannerisms, the commentary that they had in between each other during the match was great. I honestly think Pat McAfee should get another chance in whether it's WWE or NXT or whatever. He thoroughly impressed me. And I think what's even more impressive, what I heard from Dave Meltzer, which of course you can never always trust Dave Meltzer, is that they never rehearsed that match, which is even more impressive. So hats off to Pat McAfee. Of course, hats off to Adam Cole. We knew he was going to deliver a great performance, but one of my favorite matches of the entire weekend for sure.
Pat McAfee, like I said, I knew it was good, but like I said, it came off a little green to me in the beginning. Yeah. So I had to give it another chance. So I watched it again, and just keeping in the back of my mind that it's his first match, and this very well could be the greatest first match of any wrestler in modern WWE history.
Yeah,
there was no botches.
Yeah,
I didn't see one botch.
He hit every move perfectly. It was almost
he sold very well too.
Exactly. It was almost a little like, is this really what's going on? Like, how many times did they rehearse this or whatever? Like, I can't say enough about how well he did in that match.
A very, very good first outing. I could definitely see more matches out of him for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
He has the gift of gab.
Yes.
Let me. I've seen it. You've seen it. I think you did an NFL or a promo or some sort on a college football program or something to that effect about a year or two ago. And I was thinking, man, this guy can talk. He has got the gift of gab.
And it's impressive. I was talking to a lot of people. It's impressive how, yes, you can talk, and even talking on a podcast is completely different from just, face-to-face conversation. But talking in a wrestling ring and playing that heel character and having no experience doing it, and just to be able to just jump in like that and completely make the entire, wrestling community hate you, and then have such a great match to where they're like, dude, when can we see more? They always say leave them wanting more, and I think he really did that for the wrestling fans.
I got a charge. I cracked up as soon as you see Undisputed Era come out and confronting Pat McAfee's boys, a little entourage, and you see the security guards come up. What you don't see is Pat McAfee starting to climb the top rope, and then they shoot back to him before he's ready to do a swanton dive off the top rope onto everybody, knocking all 10 people down. And then he gets up with a woo.
Yeah, the mannerisms were just so on point for him.
Good. His trash talking was great.
His facial expressions. I mean, he honestly looked like he belonged in that ring. And like I said, and like you agreed, like hopefully he gets more opportunities, because I really think that he can be an integral part of NXT going in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I mean, as long as I feel like as long as he's wrestling matches and has the right dance partner, but as long as he's wrestling matches to his pace,
Yeah.
I think we can see more good matches out of him. I mean, I don't expect like a Adam Cole versus Jardine Gargano type
Yeah,
of match. I mean,
exactly.
we did not certainly get that.
Yeah.
But this particular match was more paced for him, which is why I feel he excelled very well. They both sold for each other very good. And yeah, Adam Cole did a pretty good job putting him over.
Yeah, yeah. Consummate professional. There's a reason he gets compared to Shawn Michaels. I mean, like you said, you couldn't ask for a better dance partner. And it just, like I said, too many positives to come away from that match. I can't say enough about it.
So where do you think they go from here with Adam Cole?
You know, I'd like to see him get called up. We saw Keith Lee get called up last night for Raw. But I could still see them keeping Undisputed Era around whenever they tease Walter coming back, especially with NXT UK coming back here soon. I could see an Undisputed Era versus Imperium, like big blow-off match, maybe at a War Games pay-per-view. But my ultimate hope is that he gets called up to the main roster here by the end of the year.
I mean, I think it could happen. I mean, we have a couple of big pay-per-views coming. We have Clash of Champions coming, Survivor Series 2 months after that.
Yeah.
And then Royal Rumble. So, you know, we're starting to get we're getting closer into the busy season where that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were to keep Adam Cole down there, I can maybe foresee Undisputed Era against McAfee and his
in his entourage, yeah.
I think we could potentially we may see not a return match, but I can see another match somehow coming out of this for sure.
Yeah.
But NXT is going to look a little different on Wednesday when we get to there. But Breezango defeats only Lorcan and Birch and Phantasma to become number one contenders for the NXT tag team titles. So we're going to see Breezango at some point getting that tag team title shot against Imperium.
Yeah.
Which I think would be very good. I don't know if I see Breezango winning the tag titles.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very intrigued by them going over in that match.
Yeah, I was kind of looking for Phantasma to get that.
Yeah. And I know we had talked about that on the last show, is that they could really build up the stable if they had them win and then, challenge for those tag team titles. But hey, I mean, Breezango is one of the best veteran tag teams on, that they have in the company. And overall, I think it was a really great match. It kind of stinks that it was pushed to the pre-show because I thought it was really fast-paced and allowed for everybody to, get some offense in. But yeah, Breezango had a really good win there to start off.
Moving on, we had the North American title ladder match, which I definitely loved.
Yeah.
Always loved the NXT ladder matches. There was a mix of different styles in this match, you can tell. But we had the Velveteen Dream going against Johnny Gargano versus Bronson Reed versus Damian Priest against Cameron Grimes, winner for the North American title, hanging above everybody in the form of a ladder match. Came down to Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest at the top of the ladder, both tugging for ownership of the belt. There's a couple cool spots here that I liked. Tommy, what did you like about this match?
Overall, I love that Priest won. I think it's finally his time, and I think he's going to be a great champion. I think it was Velveteen, Johnny Gargano, and it might have been Grimes who were they teamed up for a second, and then Dream turned on both of them. I thought that was a good little spot. Bronson Reed was great overall. I thought he did a great job, and of course Cameron Grimes was excellent. Overall, I just, it was like you said, you can't go wrong with an NXT ladder match. And these five, they haven't really been in a ladder match before. Obviously, Gargano's been in a few, but is a great way to start to, usher in a new era for the North American title.
Yeah, I mean, they're new faces for this, fighting for this championship. Bronson. We've seen Bronson Reed get some wins. He's getting built up as time goes on. No doubt in my mind, he'll have a shot at one of the titles. And then Gargano, he worked his butt off, and Dream as well. I love a couple spots with Damian Priest where he just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like that, he just popped up. He popped up behind Cameron Grimes out of nowhere and did the clap. I thought that was a nice little spot there. And then Gargano was about to win. Yeah, he was about to win that title and get ready to take that belt down until you see Damian Priest's hands come out of nowhere, choking him just right out of nowhere. And so that was a good visual to see. And then that's what led to the tug back and forth, trying to grab for that belt. And we see Damian Priest win. So, I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I called Damian Priest as the winner.
Yeah,
on our prediction show. I kind of had an idea because he's been featured a lot longer, kind of getting the push and more of the featured matches longer than what Bronson Reed is kind of like new as far as the mid card goes. And Cameron Grimes, you definitely could have stated a case for him to be a winner. I had an idea it was going to be one of those three. I just didn't know which one was going to be. But I felt like Damian Priest was going to be the one to get that. He's had a lot of impressive matches. He looks great. I got out of charge about him jumping in a hot tub right afterwards.
Yeah, I was a little intrigued or interested by that. I thought it was kind of funny that he jumped in his ring gear, but hey, more power to him.
I don't know if you saw, there's a photo out there, Triple H taking a photo with him, Damian Priest and the girls in the hot tub, with Triple H on the outside of the hot tub, but taking a picture with them. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's funny. Yeah, that's
good. Yeah, it was a lot of good visuals and spots for that match. Everybody worked their butt off. No doubt in my mind, you're going to see more Bronson Reed featured and Cameron Grimes in there as well. Moving on, we had Io Shirai versus Dakota Kai for the women's title. Io Shirai comes out the winner here. Dakota Kai looked great.
Yeah, she really did.
She looked really good in defeat. I feel like this may have been one of her best matches.
Yeah, she really did. We both took Io to win. We kind of knew that she was going to keep the belt. But man, Dakota Kai has always been one of my favorite wrestlers, and she really impressed on a big stage here. And hopefully, here's to hoping that she gets more opportunities down the line.
Yeah. Dakota Kai kicks referee by accident, knocking him out. Raquel comes in, power bombs Io, but Io kicks out when Dakota Kai tries to take advantage of that with an attempted pinfall there. Io with the moonsaults on the outside on top of Raquel and Dakota. So this is part of the match is like starting to wind down. A lot of good moments there. In my opinion, best showing for Dakota Kai for sure.
Yeah.
Raquel knocking out Io. After the win. So it looks like they're going to do a feud there with Raquel and Io, maybe going forward. So I would think that we can probably see that in one of the next NXT episodes or TakeOver.
Yeah, and credit to Io. That moonsault at the end on the outside was just absolutely beautiful. She hit that perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, she was very good, but I was very impressed with Dakota Kai, and I'm willing to take the gamble and say that the next time Dakota Kai gets a title shot, that's going to be her win there.
Yeah.
And plus, there's been rumors of WWE wanting to bring Io up anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe that's going to come up eventually. Keep in mind, the draft is beginning of October, so we very well could see some change there. So. Well, listen, you've heard it here first. If it does happen,
it's always your call. Yeah.
And the main event of NXT TakeOver, we had Killer Cross versus Keith Lee. Keith Lee will talk more about later on as far as the WWE side of it goes. But what did you think of this match?
I like Karrion Kross's character, and I liked the opening match promo, but this match just didn't hit as many hit as well as I thought it would, and maybe that's credit to Kross getting hurt, in the middle of the match, but it almost felt clunky to me and a little bit slower than I think it could have been.
I was a little impressed to the fact that the match kept going. I knew something was off because I noticed an indentation of sorts over in his shoulder, like something didn't look right there.
Yeah.
I knew something was off. It looked like he was favoring his arm a little bit, but he kept going. And I'm not too sure if I'm okay with the finish or not, but I was impressed that he was able to get that 320 pounder of Keith Lee suplexed from the middle rope.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would have been better for Killer Kross to maybe submit Keith Lee or make him pass out or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So it threw me a little off that the finish of it was a suplex. But other than that, I was okay with it. I've seen better main events, but I wasn't hating on it. Like, I was intrigued the whole way. You knew that Keith Lee was getting a win here. I'm sorry, you knew Killer Kross was getting a win here. It's just the way WWE booked it. Killer Kross had to get the win here.
It was an interesting way to finish the match for sure.
Yeah. It's what we expected. Great NXT takeover.
Oh yeah.
So I can't wait to see what's going to happen Wednesday, because as we know, we'll talk about it a little bit later, Keith Lee is now up on the main roster. They even announced during SummerSlam that Keith Lee was going to be on Raw.
And we're also getting the return of Tommaso Ciampa on Wednesday. So that'll, you're losing Keith Lee, but Tommaso Ciampa is still one of the best members of that roster. So it'll be good to have him back.
Yeah, absolutely. So segueing to SummerSlam. SummerSlam was a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was.
I was impressed with it. My expectations were weren't too high and not too low, but WWE exceeded my expectations with this pay-per-view.
Yeah, like we talked about before the show started, and I don't know what you feel about this, but I think it's going to be very hard to find a pay-per-view of the last year that has had that many excellent matches. At least for me, I thoroughly enjoyed the pay-per-view from top to bottom. I think there were some matches that are future match of the year contenders. Overall, just an excellent weekend for NXT and for SummerSlam.
Yeah, listen, SummerSlam had its highs and lows, but you know what was good? It wasn't a very long show.
Yeah.
They kept it at 3 hours. It was easy to take in. This was probably one of the better shows since the coronavirus started, I would have to say. Oh, first, before we dive right in, what do you think of the Thunderdome?
It's a lot better than having shows at the PC. It definitely gives off a lot better, or a lot bigger of a feel. You have the pyro, you have all the lights, you have the there's not just you're not knowledgeable of the fact that there's other rings, and you're in such a small space. It feels like that what SummerSlam should feel like and what Raw and SmackDown should feel like. So credit to them. The having the fans in the background is still a little bit of an eyesore, but I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get past that. It's just such a tough thing to jump from. But I think they did a really good job with the production. I think there was a lot of good camera cuts when there needed to be. There was a lot of ways to where you were focused more on the action on Sunday than when they debuted it Friday for SmackDown.
I think the Thunderdome had some really, really nice visuals. If I'm paying attention to the match, like it's how do I say it? Like sometimes I kind of think that people are in the arena watching, and if you really think about it, people are actually really there and watching, but virtually. They're real people that are logged in. I tried to log in, I couldn't. I was blocked because too many people were on, or whatever the case may be. But it was just cool, like knowing and seeing people in the background. The production was great. We had the fireworks. There are a couple little instances, like somebody posting a sign, "Fire Velveteen Dream."
Yeah.
Somebody dressed up as KKK or something to that effect happened. I'm surprised nobody flashed themselves yet.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. Honestly, I feel out of all the things that have happened, I thought that one was going to be the one that happened first.
So you know, some knucklehead is going to try to hop on and flash themselves. That is absolutely happening at some point. I would not be surprised. But yeah, so there was a couple little controversies. I noticed Sign Guy was in the crowd.
Yes, Sign Guy, of course.
He was right there, like in his usual seat. It's almost as like if like the WWE like purposely gave him a spot for that.
Gave him, yeah, exactly. Gave him that one LED board is just his.
Unbelievable. But yeah, I enjoyed Thunderdome. It's better than the PC for sure. You know, I got to give WWE credit. They made that little small workout room of a PC with all those rings where the weights were and everything.
Yeah,
and they did a really good job making it look like a small little arena with like the way they had the LEDs on the sides. They really did a good job. They did the best with what they work with. But now they got Amway Center for, I guess, the near foreseeable future. Yeah. So I like Thunderdome. I can get behind it. You got to give credit where credit's due sometimes.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing is, as much as people want to dog on WWE, I think some of the matches that they've put on in this Corona era have been really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the Money in the Bank match. A lot of WrestleMania was really good. We have the Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles match from SmackDown. I think, like you said, you know, credit where credit's due. Moving into the Amway Center has already shown to be a better experience for WWE, but the PC era, they had a lot of good matches. And so I have to give them credit for taking what's been going on in the world and giving people some form of entertainment and doing it at a pretty good level for the restrictions they had on them.
WWE also spiked the rating on Friday night, both Friday and Monday Night Raw. I want to say Raw did about 2.1 and about the same thing with Friday Night SmackDown. So you know the ratings spiked a little bit there by an average of I would say about 400,000 or 500,000 people between prior weeks and this weekend.
Yeah.
Raw and SmackDowns have been averaging like 1.7, 1.8, 1.9.
They've been struggling a little, yeah.
Yes, both were over 2s. I mean, I guess this would be expected for a SummerSlam weekend for sure, but the Thunderdome definitely added intrigue. I wanted to watch on Friday to see what the Thunderdome looked like.
Yeah, I think
there hasn't been too many Fridays that I watched lately.
Exactly. I think that was the thing is like I was visibly excited for Friday Night SmackDown. You know, the opening with Vince McMahon. It was a little kind of like a little tease with having McMahon come out there and then having the Fiend immediately come out. But you know, I was very impressed with what they've done so far with the Thunderdome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I like it. I can't wait to see more. Hopefully, I can get on.
We'll have to get some Deep Six. Yeah, we'll have to get some Deep Six signs on there.
Yes. Although WWE may think, no, they'll know Deep Six because of Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they may think of it as being something else, but yeah, definitely have to try to promote the logo somehow.
Of course.
But anyhow, moving on, we had Asuka had 2 shots. One shot to win the SmackDown title, which was the first match, and then later on the night had another shot to win the Raw title from Sasha Banks. So we see going back about a week or so ago, Bayley lost to Naomi in the Beat the Clock challenge, resulting in Bayley having to defend a women's title match first at SummerSlam against Asuka. Bailey retains off the distraction for Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks kind of takes a bullet for Bailey, and that allows Bailey to retain her title versus via the pinfall. So Bailey escapes her match. She's still the WWE Women's SmackDown champion. So later on, we see a little similar scenario going on with Asuka versus Sasha for the Raw Women's title. We see Bailey get on the ropes this time, and Asuka going for that bump, that butt bump that she likes to do. But Bailey gets out of the way. She doesn't even take a bullet. She does not even take the bullet for Sasha. And then we see Sasha in there. That match continues. Sasha gets distracted. Asuka will get the win versus with the Asuka lock. What'd you think of this match?
Honestly, I thought both matches were really well done. I honestly thought that if there was going to be one, I think we both agreed that one of Bailey and Sasha Banks would lose their title. I honestly thought Bailey would be the one to take the loss, but I think both matches were really well done. I like the kind of story continuation, like you mentioned, of Bailey getting out of the way in the second match and not taking that bump. But overall, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like that Asuka took one of the titles. I wish it was Bailey. I think Sasha Banks is one of the best women on the roster, and I think she can easily carry the company. But overall, two very enjoyable matches for SummerSlam.
How about that Sasha powerbombing of Asuka to the outside from the ring apron?
Yes, that was brutal, but a great spot. It reminded me of the spot on Wednesday with Rhea Ripley.
Yes. Rhea Ripley, that spot, I believe, where she powerbombed Mercedes Martinez to the outside.
Yeah.
You notice that they didn't show what Mercedes landed on?
Yeah.
But
good production,
when they cut back to Mercedes, she's laying on the concrete.
Yeah, exactly.
She should have been dead.
Yeah. With that much force, for sure.
It sounded like she didn't land on concrete. It sounded like she landed on some kind of mat, and then they must have took it out of the way really quick before cutting to her.
Yeah, exactly.
But a good visual nonetheless. Asuka took quite the bump there for sure. Asuka getting a win. She is the new Raw Women's champion. She was able to pull through and get her revenge on Sasha because we know of that shenanigans that was going on in the beginning of the month in August where Asuka was screwed. So it makes sense. But man, Sasha, she can't even defend a title.
I know. It just seems like she's always.
I don't think she's gotten through one title defense.
I don't think so. It always seems like she's playing hot potato. We saw that with Charlotte Flair a few years ago when they were just kind of throwing it back and forth, whoever wants it. But it's just, and that's the thing is, like, I love Sasha Banks. I think she is such a good character, such a good worker in the ring. And it stinks to see her not be able to hold a title for, as long as Bailey has, or as many times as Charlotte has.
Sasha definitely has not gotten her due. And I wonder if WWE is doing it as a rib at this point.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them doing it as a rib.
So next time when Sasha has to defend a title, I will have to bet for the other person.
Yeah, exactly. Pick the other person.
Because I mean, honestly, I would have thought that Bailey was going to get the loss here. Just
exactly.
This whole long. I mean, it would have made a little sense to me, but
it
just really depends on where they're looking to go in the progression. It kind of looked like they're looking to move quicker to the Sasha Bailey feud. As you may have seen on Friday night, out of nowhere, Corey Graves in a ring interviewing Sasha and Bailey. The first question he asks is, "Are you guys going to split up?"
Yeah,
that came out of nowhere. There was no indications of any split up prior weeks.
Yeah, and it's definitely been an internet wrestling community kind of theory that they're going to split up and fight. And it's like you said, it came out of nowhere, and it was really surprising.
I mean, we know that they're headed that way.
Yeah.
but that kind of just came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
It looks like they're looking to kind of escalate this feud and possibly push it towards one of the next pay-per-views. I mean, we got Clash of Champions coming up. I mean, Sasha and Bailey defending their titles, tag titles at Payback next week, which we'll talk about a little later. But so we could see some more happening there. I mean, we could see them losing the titles.
Do you think that that'll set up them? This Sunday's pay-per-view will set them up for a future match?
I think it's gonna. I think the slow burn is gonna continue Sunday for sure. I think they can lose the titles. Yeah,
they have good. They have good opponents too to take the titles off of them. I think it's a fresh team to take.
They
it off
do. Strange bedfellows, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Yeah, strange bedfellows for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been having their feud. They've been having their feud back and forth, and then they were even fighting on Monday.
Yeah, I was gonna say they teased on Monday, and then it's just like halfway through the show, they announced that they were gonna be teaming to take the titles or try to take the titles off of them.
Originally, to my knowledge, that was supposed to be Iconic spot.
Really? See, now I don't know if I would have liked that as much. I like the Iconics, but I like the fresh feel of Shayna and Nia Jax.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there, and it looks like for now, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are coming off as the face in the feud. So we'll see what happens there. We had Street Profits versus Andrade and Garza. Decent tag match. Honestly, we've seen it time and time again. So this is the problem with WWE only having 3 tag teams on the Raw side. We're seeing the same matches over and over and over. How do you call yourself a division with only 3 tag teams?
Yeah, and we saw the continuation on Monday.
Maybe even 4, and then on Raw. I'm sorry, and then on SmackDown we got four tag teams there. How do you count that as a division? Like so AEW got it a little bit right. They have about 10. I'm sure we'll hit on it later on our next show, but they got, I would say, about 10 tag teams, maybe a little more. Not to mention there's other stuff they can do with that as well. But I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have. You have really good tag teams there. Almost pretty much any one of them you can kind of push to the top as tag team champions for sure. Yeah. I guess it's a good problem to have. They have a lot of tag teams, and on a 2-hour show, some of them aren't being featured.
Exactly.
But I guess I would rather see that than have only 3 tag teams on Raw going against each other every week.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like we've had a combination of, like you said, the same 3. It's either Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders, or the Viking Raiders versus Angel Garza and Andrade, or
then the occasional Cedric Alexander and Ricochet.
Exactly. But then we have this pay-per-view match on Sunday, and then we go straight into Monday, and you're like, okay, well, Street Profits won. They'll move on to somebody else, and we see Montez versus Angel Garza again, and it's just like, that's the one thing that a lot of people complain about, is the fact that we see the same matches over and over again throughout the week. And, they did it again. They had a really good show on Sunday, and then we get the same match just in singles competition on Monday.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's going to be a draft coming in October, and it'll make things fresh when they do it, but then we're going to come back to the same problem.
Yeah.
Because WWE doesn't care about tag teams. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, which is not the way that it should be, because as you see on NXT, when you see those multi-man tags, you see the factions and war games and stuff, it's like they have incredible matches. Some of the war games matches are absolutely incredible. And I mean, the factions like Undisputed Era and Imperium are some of the, best, television time of the entire week. And for some reason, WWE doesn't want to bring that up to their main roster.
Let me ask you something. A thought came to mind. It was a little off topic, but a thought came to mind. Adam Cole goes to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Knowing that you can potentially do an Undisputed Era versus Imperium for War Games. All of Imperium. Walter, everybody.
Yeah.
Who do you make that 4th guy on Undisputed Era?
Would it not be Strong, because you have Fish.
Well, your Fish would already be there. Strong would
Okay.
already be there. And then you already have
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly. So who do
Yeah.
you make the fourth man?
Oh, that's a tough one. I
How
could
about
see
Finn
Ciampa.
Balor?
Ooh, Finn Balor would be a very interesting one. I like
Because of
that.
his feuding with Imperium.
I do like that. I think that would be interesting. Almost like the when Ciampa wrestled with he wrestled with somebody at War Games a few years ago where he was kind of like the outside man. But even like Kevin Owens coming back for War Games, kind of just being that extra spot, I think that would be, just to kind of defend the NXT brand. I would like to see Finn Balor in that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it would make a little sense just because Finn Balor has been feuding with Walter. He's been feuding with Imperium. For the first half of the year, and then COVID happened. So we still haven't gotten that payoff between Finn Balor and Walter.
Yeah.
Technically, Walter's had that title for well over a year now.
I don't think he should lose it anytime soon either, though, honestly.
But apparently the UK is coming back September 7th.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. So Montez Ford accidentally bumps Vega off the ropes during their match at SummerSlam. Andrade tends to Vega. So Andrade is distracted because he's checking on Vega, leaving Garza all alone with the Street Profits. Street Profits take advantage. Ford gets the win with the splash from the top rope. Street Profits still your Raw Tag Team Champions. Moving on, Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville in a loser leaves WWE match, which was originally supposed to be hair versus hair. We know it seems obvious to me that the hair versus hair, I guess, would have been a little intriguing. But I'm glad Sonya gets to keep her hair though, because I think, I don't think girls.
Same winner would have gone
not
over.
My thing. Yeah, it's just not my thing. But loser leaves WWE. So this is a way for WWE to write Sonya Deville off the TV for a while, so that Sonya could tend to her personal life, recouping from what happened last week with attempted break-in and probably murder. And so she's going to have to deal with the legalities of all that. And she probably just told WWE she wants some time off. I can see her coming back in a couple months. But she's Sonya Deville. I mean, she's been great on the mic. She's really been coming to her own. From what I hear, she's been taking acting lessons. And if that's the case, I wouldn't doubt it because her talking on the mic skills have been a lot better.
Yeah.
They didn't have the greatest of match. It was okay. Mandy with the same move over and over.
Yeah. I felt like it was a little slow at times and it could be a little repetitive, but I thought the storytelling was really well done. They had a lot of time to, and that's kind of the thing is overall for the entire show is the women had a lot of time to show off what they had. And I think they all, did a great job of doing that. And like you said, Mandy did the same moves a few times and it was slow at some points, but I think the storytelling overall really, really sold this match.
Yeah, the storytelling and even the build-up to this pay-per-view match, the storytelling's been pretty good. I've enjoyed the storyline, and it definitely helps that Sonya Deville has been knocking it out of the park with her promos. I think she's been really good. There's really not much you can say more, but the storytelling has been great. Where they go next with Mandy, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen there.
It seems like she's almost in line for a push.
I can see that. I mean, WWE's been high in her. I'm just not too sure if that is going to happen just yet. Yeah. Not before Sasha and Bayley happen, and I don't think it'll be anything before the draft.
Yeah.
But she's been featured pretty well, I would have to say. Like I said, not much more going on, but yeah, the storytelling, the match was okay. Storytelling was good. But moving on, we had Dominic Mysterio in his debut, our second debut of the weekend, and you know what, I went back and forth on this. Who had the better debut, McAfee or Dominic Mysterio?
I think I'm a little partial towards McAfee just because I'm from Indiana.
Having watched the match a second time, I think I was leaning a little more towards McAfee.
Yeah, but I mean, Dominic did fantastic. This is my favorite match of the entire, which is weird because I praise the McAfee match so much, but this match was just so enjoyable for me. I thought, we talked about Adam Cole being a really good dance partner for McAfee, and I mean Seth Rollins is right up there with him when it comes to how well he can work in the ring. I think he's sold excellent. I think his moves hit really well. I love the bit with him trying to go after Dominic's mom and kind of hinting at like trying to turn her. I really, really enjoyed this match. The only problem I had was Dominic seemed to keep messing with his hood because it kept going up on his head all the time, which was a little distracting. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I liked the fluidity of his movements. He had some great arm drags.
Yeah,
Seth Rollins. They're both moving around very well. I mean, you heard my opinions of it. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that a kid new to all this would get the win over Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, Dominic Mysterio impressed. And he ain't going anywhere. He's going to stay right there in WWE, maybe go into the NXT roster. I can see something like that. But now with Rey Mysterio involved, somewhat involved in the match, and after watching Raw, we're going to see Rey Mysterio and Dominic against Seth Rollins and Murphy at Payback. That's absolutely happening. But I mean, at first I was like, I was thinking Dominic had the better debut, but now I'm like right on the fence. I have to lean more towards McAfee after watching that match a second time.
Yeah. I do want to ask you, do you think before Rey leaves that we will see a Rey versus Dominic match?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I've been hoping for that one since they announced it, since they announced Dominic's debut.
I think that can happen. You never know. Maybe Dominic turns on his dad on Sunday.
It would be good storytelling. It would really be good storytelling.
You never know, because I'm just trying to figure out how much longer can you keep going with this storyline, and if you do, maybe have Dominic turn on his own dad, and then have your first ever, from what I can recall, your first ever father versus son wrestling match.
Yeah, and I mean that would be
absolutely see that happening. I'm just not too sure when. I mean, I even joked about it a couple years ago, but now it's not out of the realm of possibility. They can go that route.
Yeah, especially with, like you said, like the inevitable tag team matches coming up on Sunday. I mean, they could let this burn for a really long time, or if they wanted to, they could even do that. Could be one of the marquee matches for Survivor Series that I think would be a really interesting one. But here's to hoping, that they let it slowly ride out, because I think that would be not only a great in-ring match, but a really good story overall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That I'm honestly kind of waiting for that, to see Dominic finally become a disciple.
Yes.
I could absolutely see that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It would be a nice little shock, though. Maybe not to us, but to some people it would. And the WWE Summerslam main event, which had the wrestling world buzzing. We called it that the Fiend would win the title. That was happening.
Yeah.
The Braun Strowman experiment with the Universal title hasn't been that great.
Yeah.
So that title was coming off the Fiend, coming off of Braun Strowman to go to the Fiend. Then out of nowhere comes a spear by Roman Reigns to the Fiend. And then he gets his shots in on Braun Strowman. Trash talking to both of them.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, to me, came off as the heel here.
As the heel, yes. That's what I was thinking was, are they really turning him heel here? And it seemed like that's what a lot of people were thinking.
There was definitely character change. Roman Reigns has tried to act like the badass before.
Yeah.
But this was a whole nother level. This was another level of Roman Reigns that I noticed. He looks great.
Yeah, no, it seemed like the kind of Roman Reigns that we have all been kind of clamoring for. You know, we know he's a badass. We know he can, dominate anybody in the ring. But he just looked, like you said, just completely different from the minute he showed up. From the face having a full beard and the new shirt and everything, he just looked and felt like a completely different character, and it was really refreshing to see.
Hopefully, a couple of days I was listening to Living a Gimmick podcast before. Great podcast to listen to every week, but hopefully they do. They mentioned that they do some changes with his music or maybe his ring gear.
Yeah,
just kind of freshen him up a little more. But WWE, they just can't get away from pushing this guy.
Yeah, we see him in a title match on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you almost saw that coming with Roman Reigns standing tall, holding Fiend's title.
Yeah,
talking down on the Fiend, and with Braun Strowman out there, Braun Strowman's gonna want his payback, his revenge. The writing was on the wall for a triple threat, and I'm gonna tell you right now, next Sunday, Roman Reigns is taking that title. He is gonna be the new Universal title.
I was about to ask you about that. Yeah,
let's say by pinfall by pinfall, he's gonna spare Fiend and Braun Strowman. He'll pin Braun Strowman to win that title in the triple threat. They're gonna hotshot him right to the title right away.
Yeah, I just don't know how you don't. You bring him back with so much fanfare.
In the triple threat, in the triple threat, Braun Strowman has to take the pin, not the Fiend.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the title off the Fiend.
Of course. But it's just, the whole you'll never see it coming. And I don't really think anybody saw Roman Reigns coming out and looking that badass.
I didn't see it coming either.
Yeah.
I was expecting a couple more things to happen here. First, we didn't see Retribution on the show at all.
Yeah.
Not till Monday Night Raw. I was thinking maybe Brock Lesnar would be one to show up to get his revenge.
Exactly, yeah. That's who I was kind of thinking for.
Yeah, on Drew, maybe costing Drew. And then I skipped that match. Jeez.
Yeah.
How did I skip that match? But anyhow, we'll get to that in a second. But I did not. Someone had posted it in one of my Facebook group chats. A picture of Roman Reigns, and then. This is about maybe like a third of the way through the show. And then we see a Roman Reigns commercial. In the middle of SummerSlam. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't recall.
We see a Roman Reigns commercial. And as you know, for months prior, they kept Roman Reigns off TV for months. Yeah. No advertisements, nothing. Like you didn't hear a peep about him. And then I'm like, son of a gun, this guy could possibly come back tonight. I didn't say anything, but I'm like, wait a minute. This is a little fishy. Something's up here. And sure enough, great camera work by the camera crew. Roman Reigns just coming right out of nowhere. I did not see it coming.
Yeah, I think I share the same way. It's I was expecting a little bit more. They built up and they constantly played to the fact that you'll never see it coming on their weekly television shows, and we just got the one thing at the end of the show. I was really, like you said, expecting Retribution to make a bigger play. I thought SummerSlam would be, you have about as many eyes on SummerSlam as you do any other show of the year. And that would have been a great place for them to make an impact. But overall, I really enjoyed having Roman Reigns out there. I don't know what you think, but I felt like it was really fresh. And it's just like, you can't have him not win on Sunday. It's bring it back to that much fanfare.
Booked themselves into one of Roman Reigns has to win now.
Yeah,
for sure. He is winning next Sunday. I'm willing to put some money on that. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's happening. Roman Reigns will be your next Universal title holder for sure.
And if he's different, then I'd be down to see it. I'd be down to see what he brings to the table. But until that happens, I'm a little back and forth on whether I'd like to see him as a champion or not.
Here's the problem. WWE again has tried and tried and tried again for the last 6 years now, trying to push this guy Roman. And I'm not too sure what kind of reaction he would have gotten if it was in front of a live crowd. I think the crowd would have popped pretty well.
Yeah.
Considering he's been off for a while. Sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder. But that being said, WWE has gotta let wrestlers get over organically.
Yeah.
As we'll get to Keith Lee in a couple moments, but I totally forgot to talk about Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton because it wasn't even in my notes. How did I miss that? This happened well before the WWE Championship. Drew defending against Randy Orton for the WWE title. A little slow paced at times, but then it eventually picked up. I thought we had a great match because you know what? We were expecting Randy Orton to win that. The IWC was.
Yeah.
Expecting Randy Orton to win.
I think we both picked him. Yeah, I think we both picked Orton.
We both picked him to win. I reluctantly picked him because I did not think that Drew McIntyre should be dropping the title here, and thankfully he didn't.
Yeah,
I think it's too soon. I think you get that belt off of McIntyre come Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think that's a good time for him to have it and a good time for him to let go of it.
But now we have a couple things going on. But we see Drew McIntyre miss with the Claymore. We see attempts with Randy Orton with the RKO that didn't hit. And then out of nowhere, no pun intended, see Drew McIntyre win the match with a roll up from behind, which was an unexpected finish. I was expecting either Randy or Drew to hit their finishers for their win, but that didn't happen. Drew McIntyre gets a win here, so I was pretty happy. But it was a great fought match. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre in this whole program has been great. In my opinion.
And like we talked on the last show, this has been some of Randy Orton's best career work, I think, on the mic and in the ring. McIntyre, you can't say enough about him. He's done a great job from where he was 10 years ago to where he is now. I think he's had a pretty good championship run. It's tough to judge when he hasn't been champion with any fans in the building, but I think he's done really well overall. I don't know how I feel about him winning with a backslide, though. I understand that it builds the story a little bit more and that he beat him with a wrestling move. But like you said, I expected one of them to hit their finisher and to walk out with the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Great match.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by it. It wasn't what I was expecting. As far as the result goes, that is.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let's segue into Raw from here. We see the Drew McIntyre, then we see Keith Lee come into play. Basically starts off, we see Drew McIntyre coming off his big win, leaves a window open for Randy Orton to challenge for the title again. As Drew goes backstage, he gets attacked by Randy Orton on top of the stage and punted twice in the gorilla, laying him out. And then we see Drew McIntyre later, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. I like that he sold those punts, and they kind of mentioned it a lot. It's the fact that he not only got up after one, but was still kind of walking around and talking and all that after two. But with what happened, I think it's smart to have him he might show up on Sunday, but not have him in a match and not have him have to defend the title. I think, we talked about having him drop it at Survivor Series or maybe even later than that. I think it's good that they're allowing Drew to continue running with the title here.
And then you see Drew McIntyre later take a third kick to the head later on in the night. Drew later on gets his hands on Randy Orton during their match with Keith Lee. We'll talk a little bit more about Keith Lee in just a short bit. But we see Drew interfere that match, Keith Lee and Randy Orton. And we see Drew get some shots in. We think, okay, good. Drew got his, revenge for the night. But then later on, once again, he gets jumped in the middle of an interview and takes another third punt to the head. Now, suddenly, moments later, backstage, Charlie Caruso reporting that he may have a fractured skull or brain bleed.
They tried. They tried to sell it really well.
Was the 2 punts not good enough?
Yeah, exactly.
And one punt to the head, I'm done for the night. Jeez.
Yeah. It was the third one that did the most damage.
Oh boy. Moving on. We see Aleister Black going on to the KO show. I thought this was pretty interesting because I have a feeling that they might go somewhere with this. Well, obviously, Black turns on Kevin Owens. KO is reasoning with him, in the process before this happens, about things that went on over the past month. They showed the Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy putting Aleister Black's eye onto the steps. KO begins reasoning with him about his experiences with Seth Rollins, and then Black turns on Owens, hits the fade to Black, kick in the head on Kevin Owens. So it looks like we're going to get a feud there. I would think possibly we see a match on Payback for sure.
Yeah.
I think that it hasn't been announced. I mean, it's probably on WWE.com already. But from what I noticed, from what at least going off the air on Monday, it hasn't been announced yet. Let me ask you, does Aleister Black, do you think he might be a potential to join the Disciples?
I'd like that. I didn't even think about it that much.
Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy?
Yeah. I've always been the biggest fan of Aleister Black. I think he is one of the best workers in the ring. I love his moveset. I love his look. His theme music gets me hype every time he comes out. I like the heel turn. I think it's going to work well, but if he joins the Disciples, that could really work well. It's definitely something I didn't think about.
Later on, we see Keith Lee. We interrupt Randy Orton's promo. He comes out challenging Randy Orton to a match, but Randy Orton backs away and says, maybe later. Nice classic heel move right there. Following that, we have the Angel Garza versus Montez Ford. Ivar steals Garza's woman, lowers her away with a turkey leg. Unbelievable. It says Bruce Pritchard written all over that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird to think of how far they've come since their time in NXT.
Garza's distracted and Ford takes advantage with the frog splash. Angel Garza takes the loss. Ford with the win. Again, another. And you know what? We were talking about it before, how we've seen these matches over and over. At least we got a one-on-one match out of it.
Yeah.
Angel Garza can work with just as good as a singles as tag team. But Montez Ford with the win. Riot Squad and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is coming off as a star to me.
For sure. I've always enjoyed her work in NXT, and
I love her presentation.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. I really do hope that she gets a bigger push here coming up soon. I wonder if we'll see her, somewhere down the line with Bayley, working with Bayley or working with Sasha Banks in a match. I think they would really work well together, either the combination. But yeah, I think her presentation is what sells it, and she does a great job with her character and in the ring.
Absolutely. Riot Squad and Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega and the Iconics. Good short 6-woman match. Belair hits the KOD on Zelina Vega to give her team the win, which might be the final payoff there. It could be the last time we see Belair and Zelina Vega. Could see Belair go on to something else. Not too sure there. But we see the payoff there. Belair getting the win, getting a one-up on Vega for the things that she's done to Montez Ford's drinks.
What an interesting story.
Was caught on camera last Monday.
Yeah. What an interesting story to have, though, with the poisoning the drinks.
Oh,
Bruce
boy.
Pritchard written all over it again. That should be our tagline.
Bruce, I hope you're watching this show. We love you, but it gets a little hokey at times.
Yeah, it does.
Apollo Crews defeats Lashley in an arm wrestling match. Not much to talk about here. Wasn't really a fan of this little segment. Lashley trying to cheat by putting his foot underneath. Apollo takes advantage of that by stepping on his foot and quickly planting Lashley's arm down to the other side for the win. And that ends that segment. You see Lashley later on all pissed, wanted to get into the back for the Raw Underground and fight, which we won't talk about, but we saw a couple good fights there.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people crap on Raw Underground. I kind of like it because it kind of takes away a little bit from what's going on in the arena.
Yeah. I think it is different, and again, we got to give credit.
Can fight.
Yeah, Dolph can fight. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got to give credit to WWE when they deserve it. It's something different, and that's something that they've struggled to put out the last few years. Is something different, and like you said, it takes away from the action in the ring, and it allows to see people that we normally wouldn't see, obviously, or see skill sets of people that we normally wouldn't see, like we mentioned with Dolph. So I hope they do more of it. Maybe not. I've heard the rumors of them trying to do a title belt for Raw Underground, and I'll be intrigued by that. But I like what they're doing with it overall right now.
I'm led to believe that there's some realism to these fights that are happening. And the only fake thing that I can see that they're probably told to hold back on the punches. Like the punches are very fake.
Yeah,
and you got the cameras like constantly shooting back and forth to But as far as like the wrestling, like the moves and that we've seen, I mean, they look like look pretty legit. They look like good fights and stuff. I kind of like it. It kind of takes away a little bit from the in-ring action. It's just an added segment. It's just there.
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure if it's helping or hindering. I wouldn't say hindering, but I'm not too sure if it's really too much helping Shelton Benjamin, MVP, and Lashley.
Yeah. And, that's the thing is I liked when the Hurt Business took over Raw Underground a few weeks ago when they showed up and just started beating the hell out of everybody. And I kind of hope we see that again sometime. But, yeah, I don't know what it is doing now with the Hurt Business, like what it's bringing them.
I think this whole purpose of the Raw Underground is to kind of help push the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting out of this whole thing. We had Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. So, okay, a couple things I didn't like. Some people crap on his ring outfit. I was like, whatever. Probably Vince McMahon trying to hide the fat. Keith Lee.
Yeah.
That is whatever. I wasn't bothered by that. You could tell that it was a little bit of a different Keith Lee than what we've been seeing on NXT.
Yeah.
They changed his music. So once we get fans back in the arena, they can't yell Keith Lee in the middle of his theme song anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like little subtle things that fans like. And, Vince McMahon got to change everything. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of his theme song.
Yeah, I can't say that I was either. I enjoyed his entire entrance as an NXT star, and it's like you said, fans can't interact the same way, and we've seen that with past NXT call-ups is, they change one minor little detail that they think is minor, and it completely changes the character, and it makes them not as, intriguing as they were in NXT.
They had a little bit of a decent match together, in my opinion. They had a decent match. Randy Orton was putting them over throughout the match. Keith Lee was getting a lot of offense in. Good back and forth match until Drew McIntyre decided to interfere and then getting back to what we said before, pulling Randy Orton out of the ring and attacking Orton. And then that led to that whole melee of Drew getting attacked later. Keith Lee basically nowhere to be found except a little bit later in the episode of Raw. Keith Lee is basically challenging Randy Orton. So we're going to see that match at Payback. Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. In my opinion, at Payback, Keith Lee's got to get the win here.
Yeah, for sure. He has to.
He has got to get the win here. You got to establish him right away.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they give it to Orton, honestly. Knowing WWE's booking history, I would not be surprised if Orton gets the win.
I am personally concerned a little bit for Keith Lee right now.
Yeah.
We saw a couple changes that I did not like. He was featured pretty good.
Yeah, he was a major part of the show.
They put him right away into a main event storyline.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get much better than Randy Orton for your first match on the main roster.
No, but from here, Keith Lee's got to get the win. And I do believe we could see Drew McIntyre come back and interfere. Because let's be real, Drew McIntyre is not fighting Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main headlining title match of that night will be the Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and The Fiend. That'll be your main. You got a title match there. You don't need to have Drew defending 1 week later on. But that being said, I think that's how Drew will get on TV, by interfering, costing Randy Orton the match. Keith Lee with the win. I think that's how they're going to book it from there. This way, you can kind of continue Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton rematch at Clash of Champions, which very well could be that Drew could then lose it from there, but we'll have to see. It's too soon to really tell.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that's where they're headed. Raw Women's Title Lumberjack match. Asuka defends against Sasha. Sasha distracted by what was going on between Bayley and Baszler on the outside. And Asuka chokes out Sasha with the Asuka lock from behind. Second night in a row. Sasha Banks tapping out to Asuka. Asuka retains the Raw Women's title, leaving SummerSlam weekend as the Raw Women's champion with the win and a title defense the next night. Great match there. Further moving along and planting seeds into that Sasha Bayley feud that's going to take place
sometime
soon within the next 2 or 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Some was saying probably Hell in a Cell that they would have their match.
That could be good. I would enjoy a Hell in a Cell between them, but I feel like they'd have to, if that were to happen, to get the emotion out of the story that you would want, you'd have to start building to that here pretty soon. And I think if they lose the tag team titles, which I predict that they will on Sunday, I think that could be a really good start. Absolutely.
So for those of you that are watching, we're going to bring this plane in for landing because we have our second show to do tonight. We're doing, for those of you that are listening, we're doing these 2 shows back to back as like a sort of a doubleheader, not all in one show. We kind of like to separate the 2 shows. So for those that want to hear the WWE talk, you got this show. For those that want the AEW talk, you got the AEW show, which is going to be coming forward to you a little later, around 10 o'clock p.m. For those of you that are watching, so stick around. As we are recording this, it is now 9:23 p.m. on the Eastern time. What 8:23 by you?
Oh, I'm on Eastern time, yeah. So it's 9:23.
Oh, you are on Eastern time. Okay, so you're right on the border.
Yes, I'm right on there. Right there.
So for those of you that are watching, make sure you give us a like, a subscribe, send this to your wrestling fans, buddies. Please help get the word out. That will help us out. And as you know, we had Justin Cartable on episode 25. That's a great episode to go back to and watch and just kind of hear a good wrestling mind with talking some background wrestling, reviewing AEW for that given week. So that's episode 25. Make sure you go back to that. Send that to your friends. Send that link to your friends. Make sure they like and subscribe. For those of you that are listening, we're also on Google Play, Spotify, and iTunes if you can't watch. And help us get the word out. And feel free to give us a review on iTunes for sure. So bring this plane in for landing. We have the main event of Raw for the night. We had Dominic Mysterio and Rey versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. We do know that the match gets thrown out as a result. We see the lights flickering on and off. There was no resolution to this match. We should see the rematch at Payback, I would think. But the match gets thrown out. Retribution interferes. They were nowhere to be found on Sunday. They may have interfered on a couple things on Friday. I'm not too sure if they were on Friday's show, but they were nowhere to be found at SummerSlam.
Yeah, they showed up in the opening segment with the Fiend and Strowman on Friday night.
Yes, that's right. Leaving Braun Strowman in the ring alone.
Yeah, because the entire roster came out. Yeah,
that is correct. That is correct. So yeah, nowhere to be found on Sunday. I thought Retribution would have played a little bit more of a role in SummerSlam. I thought maybe we would get some shock and reveal of who's behind the mask. Maybe if one of them was Tessa Blanchard. Some say Vanessa Bourne. If I got that name right.
I've heard that. I wanted to ask
Bourne looks a little. Last I've seen her is thicker.
Yeah,
but she hasn't been on TV in a while.
Yeah.
But last I've seen her wrestle, she looks much thicker than in the picture that surfaced online with the woman with the black hair and the purple ends to her hair. I was thinking it's more looked like Tessa Blanchard, but I thought all that would be revealed. Now, something interesting here. We see the Retribution interfering and beating on the Mysterios. Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy already escaped. Some people thinking that maybe Seth Rollins is behind this, which I doubt.
Yeah, I don't think he will be.
Some people have thought that maybe The Miz is behind this. It could very well be Sami Zayn. We could see Sami Zayn in there. But how about the possibility of Roman Reigns being behind this?
Man, you're throwing out some good theories here. Some stuff I haven't thought about. I'd like that. I think that would it'd definitely be a very heel move, and it would definitely get him off of that kind of tweener thing that a lot of people still don't know if he is or not. That could be an interesting take on this story. I don't know how they would tie it all in together. And WWE with long-term booking isn't always the best, but they've done a lot of things well, and I think that could be something that would be an interesting take on it that a lot of people wouldn't be expecting.
Did you see what was written on Roman Reigns' t-shirt on Sunday?
It was wreck everything or everyone and leave, if that's correct.
Correct. That sounds correct to me. Doesn't that fit the mantra of Retribution?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Did you notice that the Retribution guys that came out on Monday looked a little bigger than usual?
I saw that, and I saw something on the internet that was people like guessing, and people were for sure that two of the guys were Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden. So I want to get your opinion on that.
Dio Madden.
Yeah.
Very well. I mean, we haven't seen Dijakovic since he was laid out by Killer Cross 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this is very well what they could be doing with him. Dio Madden would be pretty interesting. I know he had left the commentary to go back to doing some wrestling. I think I think we very well could get Tessa out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
There'll be because there's a woman in there. And I'm just not convinced it's Vanessa Bourne. Vanessa Bourne was a lot thicker. Last time I saw her, she could have trimmed down. Who knows?
Yeah.
But maybe I was thinking Sarah Logan, but it came to my attention that Sarah Logan is pregnant, so it's not going to be her.
Yeah.
But
I kind of like the Dio Madden thing. You know, he got attacked by Brock Lesnar, and they could kind of play off the story where, you know, WWE doesn't protect their commentators. And so he came back to, you know, I'm just spitballing here, but he came back to, you know, kind of wreck everything for that, you know, for getting hurt by Lesnar. And, you know, like you said, you know, he left to go work on his wrestling some more. And I think that would be a really good introduction for him as a character, you know, to come in and be a part of this group that, you know, wrecks everything and leaves. It's going to be a really interesting reveal when they finally do decide to, you know, tell everybody who it is.
You know, that'd be pretty interesting because you can have all of the Retribution lined up and then have one of them reveal their masks, like back in '98,
yes,
when Vince McMahon took off his cape.
Yes, the corporation, of course.
Yeah. What was the gimmick behind it? Not the Chosen One or something, but he was being the higher power.
The higher power, yes, that's what it was. Of course, the higher power.
But,
McMahon's the one under.
22 years ago.
Yeah, McMahon's going to be the one under one of the masks.
So, I mean, you could have like a reveal like that eventually with Retribution to see who was behind the masks.
Yeah.
So, it could make sense. I mean, it kind of falls along the lines of what Roman Reigns was wearing on his T-shirt. So that just kind of gave me an idea. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. And as you can see behind me, NXT UK is being announced for September 17th, which I'm very excited about. We'll see Walter back on TV.
You know what I just thought of how they could tie in the "you'll never see it coming" is having Reigns be the leader, because I don't think anybody has thought of until this is the first time I've heard of it. Is Reigns being the leader? So you know that the shirt could be a hint at him being the leader, and I would thoroughly enjoy that. Honestly,
I would enjoy it because it would actually make the storyline more exciting, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know. But hey, listen, you know what? The idea has been floating. It's floated around. But whoever's watching right now, you've heard it here first. That's just the way we do things on a Deep Six Pro Wrestling podcast. Alrighty, so we are going to end this show. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Tommy, thank you so much for hopping on for episode 31. No, we're on 31. Yeah, 31.
I think so. Yeah.
This is 31. Thank you so much for hopping on. We will, for those of you that are watching, we will be coming back on in a short while to do our second episode. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much. Make sure to follow us, share our YouTube link, and we will go from there. Tommy, thank you again, and we will see you guys soon.
See you soon, guys.